In this, the first Berserker Khazan video, I'm going to kind of walk you guys through my Greatsword build, what carried me through the game. There are definitely multiple ways you can play the Greatsword. I think the general combat style is going to be the same, more or less, for most players, but you know, you may pick and choose different sets with different skills that you like. But I kind of want to walk you through the fundamentals of what I found to work for the Greatsword, talk about some of the sets that I used as I was making my way through the game, what I would recommend for players, and just generally how to get more performance out of your Greatsword. So the first thing we're going to take a look at is stats. Greatswords scale with strength and proficiency, giving you 3 points of damage per point of strength and 2 points of damage per point of proficiency. So you might hear this and think, why would I ever put points in proficiency if it only gives me 2 points and strength gives me 3? Well, there are other bonuses to stats. Proficiency, on top of giving you this, will also provide you with 10 points of health. It will increase your stamina damage by 0.4% and also decrease your dodge stamina cost by 0.7%. Strength, on the other hand, only gives you 5 max health per point, so you get half. But it does reduce your weight by 0.3%, which helps to improve your agility, and I'll go into that what that is in just a second. And it also reduces the stamina damage you receive when you get hit with attacks, so you don't lose as much stamina. So there are absolutely reasons to take strength and proficiency. If you want more health, proficiency is a better option. Also, increased stamina damage allows you to break the stamina of bosses and difficult enemies more quickly, allowing you to get brutal attacks more often, so you definitely want some of that. Whereas strength's also going to reduce your weight, improving your agility. And agility is going to make it so that your stamina cost for dodging is lowered. And you will also have faster stamina recovery. Stamina recovery is very, very important no matter what sort of build you're playing. That way you can block, dodge, and attack more frequently. So having high strength is going to allow you to wear heavier armor and still have high agility. So as you level through the game, you're definitely going to want to prioritize strength for your main damaging stat till you get into the A agility range or are confidently in the A agility range. But you're going to want some proficiency at some point, simply for the stamina damage and for the extra health. And you're obviously not going to want to neglect vitality and endurance, because those are going to provide you with more health and more stamina as well as resistances. So you're going to spread your points around predominantly strength, endurance, and vitality with a little bit of proficiency. So obviously when it comes to Greatsword, there are spirit skills that you can pick from, and everyone's going to have their own personal preference. But I have two that I really like for my build, and I'm going to talk about why I like them before I get into some of the playstyle of the Greatsword and some of the passive skills that I think you absolutely need. So the first skill is Phantom Knight's Veil, and what this skill does is you kind of leap up into the air a little bit, you plunge some swords down into the ground, do a little bit of an AoE, do a little bit of damage. But more importantly, when you use charged attacks for a time after this, you're going to shoot out pulses that deal damage and can interrupt and damage enemies. And this can protect you from damage. It can also keep enemies or bosses juggled so you can continue your chain, and it lasts for a very good amount of time. I think it's about 45 seconds, 30 seconds, something like that. So I really like to use this skill for the buff more than I do the damage, because I like to use a lot of charged attacks. And if you're playing with the Greatsword, you should really be using charged attacks for most of your attacks. And the next skill is Counter Strike. Counter Strike is very situational. I definitely don't think you need to put points here, or you need to spend them early on in the game when there are passives you absolutely need to take. But I kind of think when you have a lot of points, it's definitely not a bad place to put some, because what this skill allows you to do is it kind of allows you to do a better version of a Brink Guard in exchange for stamina. And that's going to deplete more stamina off bosses and enemies that you fight. It's also going to deal damage to them. And it'll allow you to charge it as well, so that you can hold it for more proper timing. Right? When you do a Brink Guard, it triggers. But when you upgrade this skill, you can hold it for longer. So maybe you trigger it too early, but then you realize you need to hold it a second. You can, and then let it go. And you can get a better Brink Guard. And if you miss the timing and you go too early, and you don't get a Brink Guard, it will still guard as if you were blocking against attacks, which is fantastic. And this can be really, really good in some boss fights where they have these attacks that are very hard to Brink Guard and you need to. Okay. So moving on to the passive skills, the first ones I want to talk about are Armor Breaker and Heart Piercer, and I feel like these are non-negotiable skills for any serious Greatsword user, and these are kind of your defensive combo skills. The Greatsword plays a little bit more defensively than the other two weapons in the game. And especially early on in the game, it's really easy to fall into just using Armor Breaker and Heart Piercer, so we'll go into the offensive combo in a second. But what Armor Breaker and Heart Piercer are going to allow you to do is get hits off guards and perfect guards so that you can punish bosses and enemies for attacking you, so that you can, not only drain some of their stamina, but take their health away and sort of turn the tables on them. And one of the really great things about Heart Piercer, once you get it, is that you can upgrade it and it can be charged for extra damage. And again, we have a big focus on charge skills. Phantom Knight's Veil plays into this as it boosts your charge skills. This is one of them. It will pulse when you do this for extra damage, so that's really nice. But that charge is important, and I'll get into why that is in a second. But just to let you know, you want to try and do these attacks, or at least the armor breaker portion off attacks, as often as you can. There are simply times where you don't have enough time to get Heart Piercer off, but you can use armor breaker and then just use armor breaker again, then just use armor breaker again, and when you have an opening, use use Heart Piercer. So the next skill we're going to talk about is Savage Momentum, and Savage Momentum allows you to charge your swift attacks, so they become charge attacks. They also have a shockwave to them. It hits a little bit further, does a bit more damage, and again makes them into charge attacks, which take advantage of Phantom Knight's Veil. And why, normally when you're doing your combo, like at the beginning of the game, you're pressing square, 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 or X, 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 depending on your controller. But this allows you to mix in charge attacks or simply just do charge attacks, which is great. So the next skill is Mortal Blow, and what Mortal Blow allows you to do is it allows you to follow up a swift attack, whether charged or not charged. So if you have Savage Momentum, you could charge it and then do this. If you don't, it would be a regular attack in this. It allows you to do a follow-up attack that sort of spins and does damage in a horizontal slash. And as you upgrade this, you'll actually be able to do this after dodge attacks and sprint attacks, and you'll also be able to charge this skill up for extra damage, again, taking advantage of Phantom Knight's Veil. So you can literally go from doing a charged swift attack into doing a charged Mortal Blow, and you can alternate between these as long as you have stamina, and this combo alone will typically juggle many enemies and bosses, not all the time, but it is a great way to put pressure on them, and you can always lead with Savage Momentum, which is your charged swift attack, pretty quickly. It attacks pretty quickly into this combo. The next skill we're going to take a look at is Overwhelm. This increases the charging speed and damage of attacks chained after the final attack of a swift attack or Savage Momentum. So this is going to make it so that after you use Savage Momentum for that charged swift attack, when you go to use Mortal Blow, it will charge faster, allowing you to fire it off faster, so you're not at risk of taking damage as long, and that will allow you to kind of chain these back-to-back more quickly, so that is an absolute must. And the next skill is called Heavy Pressure, and this is really important because this is going to decrease the charging time of attacks that follow a charged attack. So when you chain Savage Momentum into Mortal Blow, into Savage Momentum into Mortal Blow, it's going to decrease the time. Or when you use Phantom Knight's Veil and use the charged version of it, it will allow you to follow it up with attacks more quickly because that is also a charged attack. Or it will allow you to charge Phantom Knight's Veil more quickly if you use it following Savage Momentum, or Mortal Blow if you've charged them, or even Potent Blow if you've charged that. So this is an absolute must as well. The next pass that we're going to take a look at is Limit Break. This gives you an additional charge level for your Potent Blow. Your Potent Blow is not when you're using Mortal Blow, but when you just use, charged triangle or charged Y, this will allow you to charge it up more for even more damage. And keep in mind that you can chain this after either Savage Momentum or Mortal Blow if you want, in order to fire it off more quickly because of the passives that we've taken. So you can absolutely mix that in if you want, and you should definitely do that sometimes as well. And this will allow you to charge it up even more. The next skill we're going to take a look at is called Helm Break. This allows you to, while you're sprinting, either hold square or hold X, depending on which controller you're using, and it'll kick you up into the air, and it will do a kind of like somersault attack where you leap with the sword onto the target. This is actually considered a charging attack as well, and it will benefit from Phantom Knight's Veil as well, shooting out a pulse. And this skill is frankly just fantastic at gap closing. It allows you to get into boss range more quickly and then begin your combo immediately afterward. So what happens then is when you use Helm Break, that will begin your combo in a lot of cases in a lot of boss fights. You'll be running around, use Helm Break, and then what you're going to do is you're going to press and hold square or press and hold X depending on the controller, and that's going to trigger an attack followed by a Savage Momentum, and then you want to press and hold a triangle or press and hold Y depending on the controller, fire off a Mortal Blow, and then you can alternate between these, and then when you're out of stamina, you can drop a Phantom Knight's Veil right onto the target as well, and then get that buff from it, and then repeat this combo as you have openings. And that's kind of the offensive combo of the Greatsword that you'll use as a staple throughout the game. And it really doesn't matter what other skills you use besides this, in my opinion. Like, you can pick up other active skills that use spirit, and you can get ones from sets that you like, etc. But generally speaking, this is kind of the play style of the Greatsword when you set aside the sets. These are the things you're going to be focused on, and you're going to be trying to do charged attacks far more often than not. So when you take a look at armor sets, you want to look for things that are going to benefit charged attacks as much as possible. So if you're taking a look at armor sets that benefit charged attacks, the two sets that are going to stand out to you immediately are the Crimson Fiend set and the Flesh Ripper set. These are sets that you will not get until very, very far into the game. So they're not going to play a big role in the first part of the game when you're learning to play Greatsword. So you should keep your eye out for them as you make your way through the game, but they're not really going to help you early on. So when it comes to early game armor sets, I like Ashen Wolf a lot. This is one you can get very quickly early on in the game. It has a couple bonuses that are nice. For instance, health recovery increase. This will improve like your efficacy of your Netherworld energy and other healing items. And it also will improve your composed and potent blow damage, so your regular charged Y attack or your charged triangle attack in terms of its stamina damage, allowing you to get more like guard breaks more easily. Composed is above 50% stamina, so that's going to apply to any attacks you do above 50% stamina. And it also has an extra Netherworld energy, giving you an extra heal, which is just great. And it also has increased potent blow damage, so when you do that, charged potent blow attack, that will deal more damage, not only more stamina damage as well. Another really good set, if you don't mind being lightweight and having less protection, is the Cleric set. You can get this pretty quickly, like just before the Aratra fight, or even a little bit sooner than that. And what this does is this makes it so that you take less guard stamina damage when you're blocking, which is great. It also improves your max stamina, which will allow you to block more and attack more and dodge more, which is just generally great. It will increase your overall damage when you have higher than 50% stamina, so that takes advantage of that max stamina and less damage decrease from guarding. And it also gives you a Netherworld energy essence as well. So those are two really good sets. And a little bit after that, you'll probably be looking for an upgrade, and it's going to be a while before the Crimson Fiend or Flesh Ripper sets, and I strongly recommend having at least 2 pieces of Chaos Ridden. And the Chaos Ridden set, what's really great about this is that 2 pieces, whenever you do a Brink Guard, you regenerate a portion of your max health every second until you take damage. And this allows you to replenish your health not only during boss fights, but on the landscape when you're fighting enemies, like as you make your way through levels, simply by performing Brink Guards, which you're going to be trying for anyway. And that's going to force you to save, or it's going to allow you to save your Netherworld energy. So you don't have to spend it as much, and therefore have more during boss fights to use, and you have more in between checkpoints as well. So that just 2 pieces of that is really good. The 3-piece bonus is also really good. This increases your damage for 10 seconds by 4% up to 5 stacks, so up to 20%. That's really, really good, because again, you're going to be trying to get Brink Guards into Armor Breaker and Heart Piercer, and that's just going to, the more you do that, the more damage you're going to generate, which is great. And the 4-piece bonus as well is also not bad, giving you spirit accumulation when you do Brink Guards, so you have more spirit to play around with to use other skills that you like. The 5-piece bonus is also excellent. What this is going to do is it's going to give you an increase to stamina damage by 2% every time that you attack up to 15 stacks. So up to 30%. Once you hit 30%, it's going to clear this and then give you extra spirit and then start all over again. So your stamina damage is going to improve as you go through a fight, and then periodically ramp up and then drop down and then ramp up and drop down. This is also really good. And the last bonus of this gives you a new active skill, which kind of allows you to chain a lot of damage. This skill is really good for burst. It doesn't work in some boss fights because you don't have the window, but it's absolutely devastating against elite enemies on the landscape, or chaotic enemies, or the ones that are berserking and stuff like that, for just bursting them down really quickly when you have an opening. So highly, highly recommend this set until you can get one of those other 2. When it comes to your Phantom, I definitely recommend using Keshta the Unyielding. I pretty much recommend this for any player that's playing any build early on in the game. You won't have access to a lot of other ones at the beginning anyway, so this is likely the one you're going to use, but it's such a good one. It increases your stamina recovery. Stamina recovery dictates how much you can block, attack, dodge, etc. So you never can have enough stamina, and as you upgrade it, it just gives you, better stamina mitigation or ways to maintain your stamina more. As you get further and further into the game, you might want to consider switching to Maximilian the Impenetrable. He also has really good bonuses, guard stamina damage decrease, so you're not going to take as much stamina damage when guarding. Also, Brink Guarding restores stamina. That's really good if you can get down your Brink Guards into your Armor Breaker and Heart Piercer combo. You're going to be doing that a lot. And then as you awaken it more, it's going to increase your stamina damage when you perform Brink Guards up to 5 stacks. So these are all really good. I think you have to be a bit better player to use this one, which by the time you can get it, you probably will be, but it's also a really good one. Just keep in mind, not every boss is very easy to Brink Guard. So there might be some bosses where this, you might switch because you're just not getting a lot of opportunities to Brink Guard. So that kind of wraps up my build for Greatsword. I hope you guys got something out of this one. I feel like a lot of the difficulty of the first Berserker Khazan comes from not knowing these things. It kind of reminds me of Souls in the sense that, the first time you fought Taurus Demon, he absolutely throttled you and you wanted to quit the game until you realized he was weak to lightning and you had a lightning buff and then you could kill him in 4 hits. Like, there are things like that in this game where, like, they're just not well explained to you on how to do them. This video is an attempt to do that, so I hope I've done that here. And if you guys like this kind of video, let me know in the comments, and I can also do one for dual wield, and I can do one for spear as well, to help out other players that are playing different weapon types.